is In the Shadows Podcast. Lots of cigar talk, but if it's going on in the world, we'll be talking about that too. And by the way, the fellas don't shy away from controversial topics. Trust me. So grab that stick, kick back with your favorite drink, and let's do the thing. This is the In the Shadows Podcast. Now your hosts, Tony the Soy Sauce Assassin, along with Albert, Martine, and Eric.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Shadow Smokes Legion in the Shadow Podcast. My name is Tony, the Soy Sauce Assassin, your host, and today we are joined by Albert, Eric, and Martina Maya. So today, what I want to talk about is a scenario. We talk about scenario here, okay? Everybody got a bad cigar once in a while, right? Like, when I say bad cigar, I'm not saying that the cigar just tastes like shit, okay? I'm talking about a cigar that you bought and it has either no draw, cracked, burns wonky, tunnels, everything above, okay? Everything that you can think of that's a bad cigar. Now, I want to know what people do to deal with that scenario. So here's a scenario, right? You go to a cigar shop and then you bought a cigar and you left the cigar shop. You went home, you take out the cigar, and then you cut it, you're about to light it, and you realize that this cigar has no fucking draw. There's no draw in that cigar, right? Or too much draw. Like you can smoke right through. All you get is air, right? What do you do with that? What's your reaction? What's your usual remedy to do that? Like, do you just throw away that cigar? Do you deal with it? Do you go back to the shop and then punch the guy in the face and say, "What did you give me?" What do you do? So let's start with Albert today. Albert, what do you do when you receive, like in that scenario?
So I'm trying to think of the last time I had that situation, and any situation I'm in like that, and it's not very often I have that. I just deal with it. I try to deal with it. I try to figure out what's causing the plug. I will often try to cut off a little more of the cap and see if I can get it to open up that way. It is frustrating for sure. And I'll say that I've had more issues with the Cohiba S1E6. I've had more issues with Cohiba cigars than I've had with New World cigars. So and it's very frustrating because that's like a Cuban cigar that you don't come across. I don't come across those often, and pretty frustrated with that situation. So that's a bit about what I try to do with the cigars.
Okay, you say you'll deal with it, right? But like, what if after your surgery on that cigar is still plugged? It's just not possible to smoke it.
Yeah, I just move on to another cigar, man. It's not worth it. So
you will just throw it away, but you won't try to contact the vendor or the store that you bought it from.
It's going to be a thing when I go back to the store. I'll say something about it for sure. Now, will I expect him to do something about it? Most likely not, because it's just one of those things. And but I would want him to respond, or at least listen to the story, and say that he's going to talk to the vendor about it or something like that. But yeah, it's just one of those. It's one of those things that happens sometimes that it's rare enough for me that I just don't worry too much about it. But talking about like poor construction, plugged, I've seen that happen with a particular brand, Alec Bradley, Magic Toast, for example. That one was just hard to keep lit. I don't know if it was necessarily plugged, but it was definitely not a very well constructed cigar. And I've gotten to where I just don't even smoke them anymore.
Okay. Do you have that experience of actually, talk to a vendor or talk to a thing, and how they responded?
I never spoke to a vendor about it, but whether or not they did or not, it's hard to know. It really is hard to know. The particular shop owner that I would typically buy cigars from, he's a bit, it is what it is. He doesn't really want to give up another cigar for that, for the cause of standing behind his product, if you will. But I do think he needs to at least know about it, because he gets enough people complaining about a particular box of cigars or cigars out of a certain box, then perhaps there is a case he can make for the vendor. He'll talk about, maybe, he'll say, I'll let the vendor know, but I doubt he does it. I doubt he follows up with it.
Okay, but how about in the scenario that you actually smoked in the lounge and then you got a cigar that's impossible?
Oh no, that's a different story. I'll start making the faces and complaining about it loud enough that people, that I'm on record, right? And then I'll try to make a case for it with. Now they do have one of those cigar pokers. It's what do they call that? It's not a saver.
Perfect draw.
Yeah, perfect draw. They do have the perfect draw, and which is really kind of dangerous. In fact, I mean, you put the cigar on there and you're sitting there poking this big. I mean, there's a plug, so it's not going to go through very easily, and you slip on that thing, you wind up going through your hand. And I don't think people realize that either. So even with the safety catch, I think there's a little bit of a danger. So, but my experience with the perfect draw doesn't always work. Sometimes it's just like, I just say, screw it, man. The perfect draw ain't going to cut it. Now, since watching you take your little tweezers, or not tweezers, but your needle nose pliers and pulling out stems, that would be the very next thing I would do. That's what I'd be more apt to do that. But I don't have needle nose pliers at the lounge, but probably should have it in my kit.
Can you imagine bringing some needle nose pliers to the lounge?
We'll get back to that after. So, how about Martin? What would be your experience? What will you do? Like, what is your, sequence of
man,
trying to saving it?
Okay, so I had one yesterday, believe it or not, that was plugged, and I was like, okay, the first one, because I had two out of the same box, both were plugged. One of them, I smoked through it, just dealt with it, which is normally what I do. But yesterday, I was like, okay, this thing is seriously plugged. Just kind of, because I deep V my cigars. So when I do that, there was enough room to where I can just kind of use my fingernail to try to figure out where the stem was and kind of move the cigar, and found like two stems. So I was like, okay, so one of them is going to be the one that's plugging it. So just kind of, because I haven't cut my nails, but I ended up just going through and digging through the tobacco, pull it out. And I actually pulled out a pretty decent sized stem. And that seemed to open up the draw for about halfway through, and then it just started getting plugged again. But normally I just kind of deal with it. It's not really, I don't know. I will fidget with it, kind of rub around the band part of it and see if it'll loosen up. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. Sometimes when you're smoking through, it'll heat up enough and it'll just kind of open up. But if not, I don't know. I'll just deal with it.
Okay, all right. What about when you were smoking in the lounge and that happened? Have you ever tried to talk to somebody, and then what are their reaction for it?
I did once. So one time I did, and the worker there, he wasn't the owner, but the worker, I basically just said, "Man, this thing is plugged." One time, one of the guys was like, "Just put it down. Go get a new one. Go get another one." And the second time, they're like, "Oh, that sucks." I'm like, "You fucker." So the one time the guy said, "Well, that sucks," I was like, oh, it was at a different lounge, and I was like, okay, well, I won't be fucking buying any more cigars here. But the one lounge that actually told me, "Hey, just go get another one," I'm like, "You sure?" They're like, "Yeah, just go get another one. You can't smoke it. It's trash. Just leave that one there and go grab another one." I'm like, okay.
Well, I mean, some cigar shop does react to it, some cigar shop doesn't. So, Eric, what about you? What are your experience in it?
Yeah, I don't have no patience, man. I don't have all that patience to be fidgeting around tight cigar or anything like that. I try to rub it, massage it a little bit. After a few like 10, 15 puff and it's not opening up, that thing is going straight to the garbage. I go grab another one. I don't care. It just I don't have no patience. I work the whole entire day. All I want is a nice cigar. Don't give me a plug cigar and fucking expect me to fidget around the cigar. No time, no patience, none of that. And the actual lounge, yeah. And usually I go there, and if it plugged, the guy would like, he joke around. He's like, "Oh, it's too bad." I was like, "Oh, you fucker." And then he was like, "Okay, go grab another one." I was like, "What, you think I'm cheap or something? Can't buy another one?" And he was just like, "Go grab two if you want."
Okay, all right. So that they are willing to fix it, but they will fuck around first. Basically, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, they fuck around with me a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. From my experience, I think that's the benefit of being a YouTuber, is that I tend to end up with the Thai cigar when I'm recording, and I will call them out for it. I'll be like, "Here, that's what I got out of it." You know, a stem here and there. You know, I'll show it because I have this tendency, like Albert said, I will pull out that stem, and you know, I'll do all kind of surgery until that thing is clear to smoke. Or else that I would keep working on it until that cigar is destroyed, right? So I tend to have that, but there are a few shops that is willing to do that for you. For example, and sometimes I don't ask for it. Basically, I just like whatever. I just want you to let you know. For example, Little Guy Cigar Shop. If you tell them that you have a Thai cigar or impossible to smoke cigar, and he knows about it, he will try to fix it, right? That's one. The other one I know is Tim Swanson. Cigars Daily, he has replaced a few of my cigars when I'm smoking there. I think, when I'm smoking there, and there was one that when I told him afterward, and he didn't replace my cigar the way that you expected because I buy it online, right? So he will send it to me, and sometimes like there were one time I remember he's sneaking another cigar extra. So last time you had a bad cigar, here's one. He has done that for me before. So yeah, that's good business practice. And there's one that I remember the most is I had a bunch of Warfighter cigars, and I bought it in a sampler pack, and I did it in the live, and they all I think 3 of them were plugged, were bad, and I think Brendan, when you talk to them, they sent me another one, like an entire pack of it, entire sampler pack again. So that was pretty good practice. And I think that got more people to buy from them. And I think their cigar is not bad, just not for me. So unfortunately, even though they tried to make it good, I didn't buy more cigars from Warfighter because it's just not my thing. But
it's not a good cigar.
It's not good cigar. It's not what I expected for a cigar that I would like, right? So sometimes you don't get that. Mm-hmm. And there are cigar shops that doesn't give a shit. Like I went to the New York Casa de Monte Cristo. I pulled out 2 stamps in front of the guy, and the guy didn't budge. The guy did not budge.
Yeah, he's probably thinking you're weird for doing that. Honestly.
Well, we told him there's no draw. I literally was like, this cigar has no draw, but I bought the stamp. No. He's just looking at me. So, it obviously after I pulled out the stem, I was able to smoke it, but like he didn't want to do anything about it. Another one that I remember the most is when we had the Texas Bee and we went to CI. Every single cigar I bought from CI that night was plugged. Every single one. I did it in front of everybody. Everybody saw it. I had to literally destroy the cigar. The stem was giant. And not one person came over and asked what's going on. So, and I think that kind of represents how they treat their cigar, and they're kind of used to it. They're like, yeah, we have bad cigar. What are you gonna do about it? So.
Well, I think if you're in Cigar International, they're more of a trying to sell you alcohol, and they're not really. I mean, they're a cigar bar, so the most of the money they make is going to be from the freaking alcohol.
So to be fair,
no, you actually cannot. By law, if you have a cigar bar, 51% of your income has to come from cigar.
Well, I think it depends on their license, right? I mean, they could be, neither here nor there. How would they be able to manage those cigars? How would CI be able to manage those cigars so they wouldn't be plugged?
Well, yeah, but obviously, I think one of the problems they have is that room that we went to, the humidor, was poorly humidified.
So dry. Yeah,
that's one thing I noticed.
The draw.
Oh, it's
dry.
under humidified. So everything's dry, so they shrink in a little bit. Yeah. No. So it's so dry that if you try to tamper with it, it cracks. The whole thing's not smokable. So.
No, you can't.
No, because when it's humidified, it's malleable. Like you can't really massage a dry cigar, right? And I didn't have my needle nose plier to get the stem out and everything. So when I tried to do anything, that thing just destroyed. So I think I bought 6 cigars that day or 7 cigars that day, and I tried 3 in a row, and all 3 were bad.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it just shows that what are the chances, right? I do have more of a tendency to feel the cigar is plugged because everybody, their like to a draw is different, right? Some people like loose draw, some people like tight draw, right? True. And some people will be able to deal with a certain degree of tight draw. And for me, any tight draw that I cannot get a good smoke out of it, I think is tight draw. So I'll try to pull some tobacco out of it. And stem is what I usually pull out first. And because that's the easiest to pull, because when you pull the leaves, they kind of roll. So you pull out a lot of huge chunk versus just a stem, right? And I think, again, that I feel like that problem was caused by using the Lieberman machine. They don't really feel how tight the cigar is, Lieberman. And then it might be something that was bunched into the shape, whatnot. It could be, it could not be, whatever that is. But I think a lot of cigar at a certain price range, you're gonna find more of that, and people tend to be okay or deal with it because it's like, oh, $6, whatever, big deal. I get another smoke, right? But if you have cigars that are like $80 and it's plugged,
huge
now I have a big problem.
Huge.
Oh yeah, I mean, for example, when James and I, my brother James was smoking that Talisman, the Cohiba Talisman, I had both the cigars and I let him choose which one. Because we're betting on the fact that one of these might be plugged, so I'm gonna let you choose your own cigar and see if it's plugged or not. So if it's plugged, you can only blame yourself, right? And if mine's plugged, I get to blame him. So that was kind of a cool way of looking at it. But yeah, I really felt like that one of those might have been, if not both, might have been a challenge to smoke. But they both turned out really nice, so that they smoked well, tasted great. So, but yeah, it's.
Well, something like the Talisman caliber, we're talking about quite expensive cigar. I don't know how much he bought it for. In Japan, they are like $100-something each.
Yeah, I think he was able to get them
like about $60.
It was like 50, yeah, somewhere there, like $60. But I believe the price has gone up since then.
So at that price range, you would think that they did every single test they possibly could. Not only they did a test, they put it down, they pray to God, make sure that it's good before they put it away. They're like,
for sure.
Whatever the God they pray to, I hope this cigar goes good.
Anytime you spend more than $20, I think you should have a cigar that's going to draw well, that won't give you any issues.
And which one you guys think is a bigger issue?
Like tunnel
draw or too much draw? Like tunnel.
I think most of the time I have cigars that are
really either
tunneling or too much of a draw. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I feel like tunneling is smokable. I mean, you can adjust, because I tend to use like a something sharp pointy to push the tobacco down a little bit because it's missing. And it really depends how much it is. Because recently I reviewed a cigar that is tunnel all the way. So I try to push it every so often so that there's enough burn, there's enough resistance to get that burn. But I do feel like like too much draw, like we're talking about, like the full just air is it's just not smokable compared to a tight draw, because tight draw technically if the cigar wrapper is not destroyed, there's a way to kind of fix it, but there's no way to put more tobacco in there to fix a tunnel. And when I say tunnel, I'm not saying that you smoke too fast, it goes in where you created a tunnel. I'm talking about they just forgot to put enough or didn't put enough.
Like a hot dog. It's like a hot dog in hallway.
Hot dog in hallway.
Yeah, when you throw, all that air going through.
Flavored water.
Yeah, all you get is air because there's so little resistance. All the air is going through the tunnel, but nothing's going around it, so it's not burning anything, right? No, it won't work because the air will always flow where the least resistance is. So that didn't work. And I think there's another problem that we didn't address is when you have a hole. We talk about really, really tiny leak. I don't know if everybody have that problem before. When you smoke a cigar, you start to hear whistling.
Yeah.
And then you had to find that
It's
hole
like,
and
bro.
plug your finger over it so you can smoke it.
You put your finger,
That
But the thing is that beetle?
I mean, I think
no,
now you have
a lot of time I think this. I think it's when they do it is when they wrap the opening. There's a big enough gap so the air is leaking out through the binder.
Oh, you mean like on the seam?
Yeah. When they didn't do it tight enough, there's a small fold between the wrapper and the binder, and then that air goes through. You can usually find it. Well, obviously, there are some time where like you take off the sticker or the band, and you got that little hole.
Oh yeah,
around
it's like
the
right
band.
there. Yep.
And you're like, it was fine. Now I hear him whistling. What the hell? And then you start to do the flute thing. You start
The
to
little
try to
flute
put
sometimes.
5-6 fingers over it, try to
you
figure out
just
where
kind
it
of
is.
put your finger around the top, and then you're like, and then your finger starts getting hot because you're holding it there.
So is it over here? Is it over here? Is it? Oh yeah. Okay, there's straw now. Okay,
But man, as cigar smoker, why do we have to deal with them shit? You know what I mean? Like we already spend a lot of money to. Why do we have to
They're
deal with
handmade.
more
It's
shit
organic.
that comes?
They're
with
handmade.
It's just an organic thing, man. It's not perfect.
it, you know?
But then we gotta give a reasonable amount of defects, right? Because it doesn't matter machine made or handmade. Even if it's machine made, there's a reasonable number of defects. Like you can go out and buy like a TV, you're gonna find a reasonable number of TV that are defect when you buy it home, right? It's just that because it's a consumable, you can't bring it back a half-ass smoking cigar and says, "Hey, this cigar is plugged. Give me another one," right? And it's just like food.
I don't know. That people do with food. So
Well, if food is different, right?
there's a lady that eat half the fucking pizza, be like, "Hey, it's not good. I don't want that half the pizza no more."
I mean, but food is easier, right? Food, like, it's like, oh, there's not enough salt. You put some salt. You put some pepper, unless like somebody put too much salt or too much pepper or too much sugar and think that salt is sugar or something like that. Now you get a totally different thing. Or somebody,
Yeah, that's a whole different.
but I mean, if somebody give you soggy food or sour or rotten food, then you can bring it back. I've seen those a lot. Some food is not good, they bring it back, and usually the restaurant person would take a bite and say, "Oh, that tastes fine," and then bring it to the kitchen and have the chef eat it and say, "That tastes fine," and they come out and says, "That tastes fine," and then you had to argue it and they give you another one. But cigar, I really rarely see people go back and say, "This cigar is bad. I need another one," right?
Yes, that's true.
But
Like I really do that. So
on another spectrum, have you ever seen somebody smoke a cigar and did not let it taste and say, this cigar tastes bad, I want another one"?
I've never seen that. No.
oh wow, I never seen that. But that, oh my god, if that ever happened in front of me, I look at him, I'm like, bro,
If
I've
you
seen one
buy
in
a
the lounge.
cigar,
I don't.
it's like I've never had that happen before, or anybody else. Like,
But the thing is, like,
Try to
so
bring
when
it
that happened, that mean like the people that work there or the shop owner recommended it, then that would just it's like, hey, your recommendation suck.
That is actually exactly what happened.
Yeah,
So I went to the
next
lounge
time.
and I was smoking over there.
I knew it.
And I saw one guy was asking the shop guy and says, "Hey, I just want a good tasting cigar. I want to try it." And he recommended one. I think it was a $12 cigar. I can't remember what it is. And he smoked it. It was about 5 minutes through, and he take up his get off the chair, walk to the guy, and said, "This cigar tastes really, really, really bad. Really bad. I don't know why you suggested this tastes really, really bad." And the guy is like, "Okay, cigar's bad. How is that my fault?" kind of thing, And then it's like, "Okay, so what do you want me to do?" It's like, I want a different cigar. I want a different cigar. In the end, the guy gave it to him because he doesn't want to make big thing out of it. He just want to go, "Okay, here you go." But
Yeah, but what if he keeps saying the cigar you recommend and you give me suck?
he gave him
So
another
there's a
cigar.
shop.
But guess
There's
what's
a shop I go
pretty
to.
funny? No. Guess what's funny? What's funny is the second cigar he got, he
What's
hated
that?
too.
he did like it.
He hated.
Is it the recommendation from that
No,
guy?
I think he just doesn't like
the same-
cigar. He just want a free trial.
Oh shit!
He just like a free trial. So he went back to the guy
So-
again, and he goes, "Hey, this one tastes bad too." And the guy just looked at him. He's like, you gotta be shitting me, right? You gotta be shitting me. And I think the shop guy got smart. He's like, well, you picked the second one, so that's up to you.
Yep.
And the guy got angry, walked out of the store.
Yeah.
Of course.
That was a regretful thing for the shop owner for sure.
That them Rambo motherfuckers, you know.
So I think if you are
You can tell that guy had never
recommending
smoked a cigar.
something to somebody, I mean, if you're recommending something to somebody, you would have to kind of look at what they're getting and then make a recommendation, because there's a guy that
you can't really do that on
there's a
someone
shop I
that's
go
new.
to.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Well, somebody's new, yeah, I get it. But there's a guy that a shop worker, and he basically recommended a cigar to me. And one of them I picked up, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. The other one, I was like, I don't know about that one. He's like, just get that one. I'll get it for you. I'm like, okay. Wow. But I took one of his recommendations.
You know, that happened. That happened to me all the time when I go to the cigar shop here. They're like, hey, you should try this one. This one's good. This one. And I bought them, right? I bought them. I don't review them, though. I have my doubts, you know. But they're like, hey, if you review, you know, you smoke cigars and stuff like that, you should try these. I have my doubts in them. There's a reason why I pass them on and don't buy them. So I buy them when they recommend it. And every single time, I'm glad I didn't review any of them because they suck.
I realized that if you go to the Davidoff store, they're kind of smart. They don't tell you their opinion all that much. It's like, oh yeah, I tried it. It's okay. You know, not bad. You know, if they ask every single one, is like, oh, it's not bad. It's popular. You know, and they won't just give you their personal opinions. Like, oh, that's really good. I love it.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
like,
what I
it's
used to
popular.
do.
It's popular. Well, yeah, obviously, all those are popular. Because I have, you know, a few times where I sit in the lounge, I smoked one that where the guy says, so it's not bad, it's popular. And then he's like, he came in and said, yeah, how is that one? And then I just look at him, this thing absolutely sucks, but I paid for it, so I'm going to smoke it unless you got to give me a refund. And he just laughs and walks out.
Because it's just popular.
Yeah. It's, you know, I'm already halfway through, so it's like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, but I don't think you can throw a guarantee on a recommendation. It is what it is. A lot of cigars are smokable. Like, it's not like it's just it's, you know, it's a punnable cigar, if you will, where you just get rid of it. I don't think those are few and far between. At least for me, they are. But yeah, I don't know how. I think when you're recommending cigars, there's a way to do it in a where you don't really put out an expectation that you're going to love the cigar. Because I think when you set that expectation, then you wind up disappointing people, or they expect more, or if it just doesn't, if it doesn't really hit them in the right way, then they just somehow feel like, I guess, you know, they got ripped off or something like that.
But there's some bad cigars that absolutely will not go through with it, right? Like, for example, we were at Texas.
Yeah, the 20-acre farm.
Where the 20-acre farm. I took 2 puffs. Like, that thing tastes horrible. Like, all the note that just came up just now tastes horrible. So I just didn't deal with it. Just pour another cigar and smoke it.
Yeah, and
it's not.
Oh, look at it.
You got a nickname out of it. It's
my choice,
too,
right? So I didn't go to the guy. Say that again.
You got a nickname out of it too, right? From
it's not a good nickname, but you know, it's
2 puff
but
Tony.
It's not like I go to the guy and says this cigar sucks. I want a refund. I only had 2 puff. You know, it's just like it's my choice. I made the choice. Nickname? I want to try it, and I didn't like it, so I move on.
2 puff Tony.
And I understand that cigar's gotta change. It's gotta have a different flavor. I just don't want to deal with that flavor. I'm trying to enjoy my time. I don't want to go. You know what? I'm just gonna go through the next 20 minutes in suffering. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, you should have waited till the last
Every
third.
time you take a puff.
It was really good in the last third.
Well, if I just want the last third, I would just pay the 30% of the price. I don't want to pay. You know, they should pay me for the first 60% of the cigar because they suck. You know, why would I want to waste my, you know, first hour dealing with the bad flavor just to get to the good flavor? You know what I'm saying? Especially I pay for it. It's actually not a cheap cigar. For what it is,
you gotta be patient, man. You know, good thing come when you
right. But it's not at the time where I want to have patience because I'm enjoying my time with my members.
How much was that cigar? Do you remember?
Can't remember. I think it wasn't. It was more than $10.
Yeah, I think it's around 12 or 14.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember it's more than $10, and I was like, "Is my 1 hour worth more than $10?" Yes, it is. Drop that.
Hell yeah.
You know, and you know, you see Val just looking at me.
Oh yeah, he was looking at the cigar like, You think I can smoke that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
How much saliva's on it?
you'd be like, can I have it?
You can have it. I'm not gonna stop you. You know.
Just clip off the cap, you know?
Yeah. Cut off the initial, 20%, the best part. Cut off the best part.
Right.
Just smoke the rest.
Now I will say
No,
this:
I mean,
I've had situations though where the same shop owner that would pretty much tell you, "Too bad, so sad," kind of thing. One time I had this. It was a New World, and it's the oval. It was the Enclave. I guess Enclave has like the oval kind of Vitola. Anyway,
No, it's just
AJ
no,
Fernandez,
it's wrong.
right?
No.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so we had this egg cutter. Have you ever seen those where it's got the razor blades all the way around the inside? It's like
Yeah, I think I've seen
it
those.
looks like an egg, but cut off, and then you just kind of slide it onto the cigar, and it cuts these slits into the top of the cigar, right into the cap of the cigar.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
perfect draw or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, it's supposed to help
No,
you
it's like-
draw.
It's like a slit
Yeah,
cut,
like
something, right?
six
Like a
of them or
slit,
something like
razor
that.
cut. Yeah.
somewhere.
Fuck. That's oh my god.
All right.
That cutter.
So then I light it up and I start smoking it, and you know how you get a little saliva gets on the cigar. Well,
yeah.
next thing you know, it's like chewing tobacco, man, or snuff
Yeah.
or whatever. It just started burning my mouth like crazy, right? Because I couldn't understand what was going on. I probably had a stink face going on or something, because he sees me and he's like, "Man, what's up with that cigar?" And I'm like, "Dude, this." And he looks at it and he's like, "Go get you another one, man." So, like, yeah. So, like, on one hand, he's like, "You're screwed if it's got a tight draw," but then I guess he's in a good mood. Go get you another one. Since it's the way that worked. I don't know if he brought the cutter in or he gave it to my buddy Mike, who hey, check this cutter out. We were kind of playing around with it, but I didn't see those cutters in the shop after that. Let's put it that way. So I don't know what happened with that.
because you're not cutting the cap, you're shredding the cap.
Yeah.
You literally
Yeah.
not doing anything to it. It's like,
Had a good.
But yeah, I don't understand why shop don't do it though. Like the shop doesn't just give you a cigar, because they can write that off. They can scrap it. They can write it off, and they can probably get a replenishment, according to what I heard from
Right.
Cham and other people, that they can
I've heard
actually
that too.
scrap it and get it replenished. But I don't know. I think they just don't want to deal with
It's
it
a
or
hassle.
whatnot.
It's a
But-
hassle. Yeah, you gotta, you have to have your accounting set up a certain way, and the shop owner.
Sure, but at the same time, you keep a customer.
Of course you do. Of course.
That little
Oh, yeah.
that little
I would.
5 minute buys you another customer.
Right.
And I think because not enough
Like-
shop is courtesy enough to do that kind of stuff, this is why brick and mortar are dying really quickly. Because a good service brick and mortar will always have somebody go there smoke. Always. Even if I have to pay more. Right? And I think because none of them do enough of that, that's why brick and mortar are dying. People are not willing to pay more and not get the premium service, compared to, I can save a few bucks on the cigar. I'm buying online. Why not just do that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
well,
I've
you still don't get replacement after this plug at home anyway.
so
Same thing, right?
for me, I buy a lot of cigars online, but if I want to go and enjoy a cigar, go look through somebody's humidor, I'll buy I don't know, anywhere between 2 to 5 sticks, and then I'll smoke them there, because it's just you have the whole experience of smoking a cigar, enjoying it there. So just checking out new lounges sometimes it's just fun.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about new lounges, though. We're talking about return customers, right? If you don't have return customers,
Yeah.
the first time you go there is the most important, because you gotta get your impression whether or not you have fun there, whether or not the cigar is worth the extra money that you're paying for to be there, right? Everything else is normal. You can get drinks and stuff like that, alcohol, whatever. And I don't really think people pay that much attention to what alcohol you can get there, because so long as it's a good place to be, even if there's very little selection of alcohol, people will go, right? So it really depends on the service. If it's a good service, people go. Like the Carnegie Lounge in New York, they sell Davidoff cigar there at 40% to 70% markup before tax.
Oh.
But people go there. Why? Because they have good service, they have good seats, they have jazz music playing, and people are willing to pay that premium to be there, right? Because it's a good environment, it's good vibe, you can hang out with a friend, and you don't mind to pay that extra markup.
Now, I've seen where, for example, people would come in and they'll get the cigar, they'll do their cut with the cigar, and the cap kind of comes loose.
Mm-hmm.
They break the cap, and it's not. And they'll look at that and say, "Wow, man, there's a humidity issue, or this is a dry cigars," which you'll typically hear. And the owner that I'm talking that I won't mention where we're at and all that, but the owner would be like, "Yeah, you cut it wrong." Yeah, flat out, you cut it wrong. And now there's some truth to that. They very well could have gone too high on the cap and messed it up. Their cutter could be kind of dull, but then again, those were the cutters he supplied, right? So they weren't necessarily using their cutter because they're cutting it up at the counter, which means they're probably using the cutter from the owner.
But the thing is, like, usually if you cut a counter, there's somebody there. Somebody should be there cutting it for you.
Yeah, but you don't always want people to do that for you, right? And here's the thing, though, right? A lot of time it's actually because the vegetable gum they put on there, they didn't put it all the way, right? So like the edge of that cap is not glued completely, and because it's not glued completely, that it did not. How do I say it? It didn't. When you cut it, it unfolds itself from that point of not having whatever that is.
Yeah, but like when the owners say you cut it wrong, what does that even mean?
Well,
you cut it all the way.
They kind of expect you to go through the typical thing, which I don't recommend people do. Is to wet to wet the mouth first, and then
I would maybe ask questions.
Right, you suck on it first. You'll make sure everything is taken care of, and then you cut it. Yeah, they kind of you kind of have to wet that glue a little bit with the gum a little bit, so that you'll hold. But that doesn't always do it. If there's no glue there, there's no glue there, no matter what you do.
Yeah, it's gonna pop. If the cap don't have enough things to hold it together, it's gonna.
So I know he lost the customer, not completely, because he'll still come around to see his friends, and everyone, he'll buy a cigar every so often. But like I went to his house, this other guy's house one night, and we were smoking a cigar, and he was like, "Man," he goes, "Yeah, his cigars are always there's a humidity problem in his cigar, And I'm like, I don't think there's a humidity problem, but it's just that whole cap thing was an issue. Now, I've also seen it where, and I've even done this where I've cut the cigar for a customer when I was behind the counter. I'd cut the cigar, and it gets a little bit torn. It's just not a perfect cut, and so then you kind of just have to gauge, like, are they going to make a big deal out of this? I'm having to go get another stick so I can give them a perfect clean cut, and
well, you ask them, you're like, hey, is this the cap got a little messed up?
Right.
What would you like to do about it?
Well, I didn't invite it. Let's put it that way, but you do kind of gauge if it was destroyed, absolutely go get another cigar, but there's degrees of damage, I guess, and that's what you kind of think about. Is this something you really have to replace, or is this just kind of like something they're going to have to deal with a little bit?
I don't know. If it was me owning a shop, a damage is damage, right? To me, it is damage. It's gonna suck. Like you're gonna have to bite the dust.
There's degrees. I think there's more degrees.
Yeah, but like to me, if I go to a lounge and somebody cut my cigar, when they give it back, I expect it to be one piece.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm not talking about a situation where it's completely destroyed. Right.
No, I'm not talking about destroy. I'm talking about the cap shouldn't be broken. Everything should be fine with the cigar. That's how I feel.
And this is probably why a lot of cigar shops have those like on the table, giant one with a lever. That those things rarely give you a bad cut, and then you don't have to be like don't have to gauge it because all those has like those like safety how much you put.
Yeah, like preset.
Yeah, so you don't ruin the cigar. But that's the thing though. I do also expect that if someone's gonna cut my cigar, they had to cut it the way I like it, and it had to be perfect. And this is exactly why I always bring my own. I cut it. I'm responsible for it. If it's bad, that's fine. I'll leave it in my bag, and I'll go home, cigar glue it, and then smoke on a day where I don't care, right? But I don't know if I will be okay with somebody ruin my cigar while they're cutting it and try to glue it. If I ruin it myself, I glue it. That's fine, right? So it really depends on. It depends on the person. Like if you have someone else taking that responsibility, if you're the shop that you decide to take that responsibility, you have to take it.
Absolutely.
It's bad, you write that off.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
I agree with that.
And that.
Well, next time it happens, you lick the shit out of it and give them, hey, can you cut
that's also the things that I bring my own cutter because you don't know how many people lick their cigar before they cut it.
Oh boy, you don't want to think about
the
it.
community. Oh my god, I can't even imagine. You're trying to cut your cigar, and there's saliva left over from whoever cut their cigar before you.
The last time I went to the lounge with Innocent, and I forgot my cutter. I didn't bring my cutter, and I bought an expensive cigar. And he's like, "Oh, do you want her to cut it for you?" I'm like, "Hell no! I'm just gonna bite the cap off and call it a day." He was like, "Why?" He's like, "Bro, I don't want no mouth in my cigar, bro. It's just I don't know why. I think about it too much."
When I go out, I bring 2 cutters. So I mean that's just in case because I will kiss my cigar before I cut it. And I use my own cutter as I rarely borrow. I rarely borrow a cutter. I just usually borrow lighters. If I don't have one out already, or if my butane ran out, I'll borrow a lighter. But cutter, you always want to use your own because it's you gotta be putting in your mouth. So,
yep,
yeah.
And if you do it, other people do it.
Oh yeah, everybody do it. And especially when you're out in the shop, I rarely see people just take it, cut it. And it's no, they were all right, I gotta be very careful. I'm gonna suck on that thing until the thing screams, and then and then I gotta cut it. Yeah, wow. and then continue to wet that thing until it's chewing tobacco. Yeah, that's usually in the case. That I mean. Sometimes I look at the ashtray. I look at everybody just laying their cigar down. I will be seeing a various type of people. Some of them chew their tobacco, and then that looks like that tobacco just exploded on one end. You're like, wow, somebody really hated that cigar, right? And then the other side, you see people it's so wet. It only thing is missing is dripping down saliva from that end. Right, and what I cannot handle the worst is when people try to spit while they're smoking in front of me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tony.
Oh, I'm saying in front of me. If you're somewhere else, that's fine, right? You're not right next to me.
Oh yeah.
But there are people that, for example, you're smoking in the outdoor backyard, whatever that kind of setting, not indoor. People will just spit onto the ground. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna move my seat now.
I don't think we'll be sitting together. We have outdoor kind of thing.
Yeah, you better not spit in front of me. I'll toss things at you.
Toss me your cigars.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. Come on, it's saliva. Just deal with it. But I think one of the things that we deal with a lot as a smoker is inconsistent cigars. And I feel like that's one of the things that we kind of just swallow that issue and not say it a lot of time.
Well,
right?
yeah. A lot of times.
But if you think about it, they add up. If you have 10 bad cigars a year, that's $60, $70, $80, $100. 10 cigars a year, and I'm pretty sure people will have more than 10 cigars a year. That's bad because if I was to save all the stamp I pull out, I can make a house out of those stamps.
God damn.
That's how much stamp I have out of. I can easily put a bag together a week, right? So,
but you saw me. I'd be having crap cigar lately, like tunneling, no draw, crap cigar. I just throw it away. I can't deal with it, man.
And I really don't think it's humidity because all my cigars are together kind of thing. So if some of my cigars are okay, some of them are not, that just means it's those cigars.
Yes. Because I'd be smoking the other one fine. So.
And I have not seen a correlation with cigar that I just received and I take it out versus a cigar that's in my humidor and I take it out because they have the same amount of failure rate, right? I can receive the cigar today, take it out. Oh, there's a stem in it, or I can ton or whatever, and then I can go.
I told you
I can pull a cigar.
You need to let it rest,
I
man.
can pull a cigar that are in my humidor for 2 years and still have a stem. You can age. You cannot age away a stem.
It's shrivel, bro. It's shrivel up. We talk about
If you leave that cigar in your humidor for 10 years, it dissolves the stem. It doesn't happen, right? So a bad cigar is bad cigar. There's no way to go around it, and especially if you're someone that buys a box at a time. You already purchased that for like 2 years. You got to go back and say, hey, I bought this cigar from you for 2 years ago, and 90% of the cigar in there that I smoke has stem.
Hey, if it boxed and it's very limited and have value, they'd be like, hey, we buy it back for you for the same price.
I'll take that. I'll like, okay, buy it back for the same price. So, the next few motherfuckers that
limited
smokes
and they
that,
resell it.
it's gonna be screaming at you because they're all tunnel. They're all tunnel.
Well, they already bought it for double the price.
Yeah,
so
that's not my problem. They were going back to you and says, hey, I just bought this half box from you, and all the cigars are plugged.
Well, yeah.
And they were, but it has been aged for another year.
Maybe 5.
Well, maybe 5. Yeah, there's no way. And then, like I said, somebody invented the perfect draw tool, and then everybody have a different idea of how to use it. Some people say you should just use the perfect draw tool to remove the tobacco at the end, the nub area. And some people say you're supposed to poke it all the way through, so you make a tunnel of air that goes through.
I don't think that's the way you're
I don't
supposed to
have
use
one.
it.
I don't own one. I don't believe in it.
So how do you think you're supposed to use it, Martin?
I think you should just go through. I think you should be able to feel on the cigar where it's plugged, and you can usually tell where it's plugged. Insert that poker through because it's got like serrated edges or some sort of whatever. It's like a screw, basically. So you slide it.
So you poke it on the side of the cigar?
No, through
On the side where the plug is?
through the head going to the foot. So you're basically poking it and twisting it as you're going through to be able to pull out anything that may have been blocking the smoke.
I think we need a drill bit. I think we see like a flat out drill bit, man. Just go.
That will give you a really good tunnel. That will give you a really good tunnel, perfectly round tunnel.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that will have zero draw afterward.
Oh, you guys just gave me a freaking idea.
Oh
Make a new video.
Oh no!
Yeah.
But
gonna be
here's the thing,
hilarious.
though. I forgot who said this. They say that if a cigar has a tie draw, it's because there's too much tobacco at the end of the cap. When they roll it, they bunch too much tobacco at the end of the cap, not in the beginning of the cap. So they always say to remove the end of the cap. But I've never seen that work. I've tried it a few times where I just remove the tobacco from the cap. I can make the hole as big as my fingernail. It's not gonna do anything.
It's worked several times for me.
Ain't gonna do nothing.
Now, if I poke all the way through, half the time it destroyed the cigar. Half the time it destroyed the cigar. it expands the cigar, right? So the wrapper starts to expand. It starts to try to crack, right? And yeah, you can pull some tobacco out, but the amount of draw that you get out of it from the tobacco that you pull out really doesn't help. It really, every single time, if we're able to pull the stem out, it loosens the draw. Every single time. I don't think the draw tool works out, man.
It's worked for me with you just go ahead and cut off some more of the cap, and that has typically worked. Now there has been some where I've had a knot. It was further up, closer to the foot, and I've taken my guillotine cutter. I had to try to find one. I have one that's kind of for larger ring gauges, and I was able to kind of slide that over and cut off that part of the cigar, and that worked. So I just just get rid of the whole damn thing, and you lose maybe a sixth of the cigar that way. In some cases, maybe a third, but I was able to enjoy the rest of it, no problem.
And then sometimes it's half of it.
If it's like half, I might forget it, unless it's a Churchill or something like that.
And what I hate, I think 20% of my plug cigar, what I hate is that the stem is right next to the wrapper. You can feel it with your finger. You can just rub your finger around the cigar. You'll feel it. There's a long ass stem, like a vein that just go outside.
And then you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, if you pull it out, it's got to destroy it. And those cigars, like this beyond help. It's like that somebody forgot to pray to their gods before they made the cigar. And there's no way around it. I mean, I've tried sometimes to do like just give it more cut, give it a V cut so that there's more room. So not only you're drawing straight out of the cigar, you're drawing an angle as well. But even that sometimes doesn't help. So like there are some cigars that just beyond help. You just can't do anything about it. It will suck.
What do they call that?
If that came from a box of $100 cigars.
The crown cut, the tic-tac cut.
No, the new Twitter.
It's been pretty popular.
The Twitter cut.
What, the star cut?
Yeah, the X.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever seen.
Dude, you know how the mouthfeel on that shit is ridiculously bad. Like, what the fuck?
That is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. It's not gonna give you any other thing other than a regular, because the smoke still gotta come out the same way. No, I don't care how you cut it in the star cut. Like the star cut.
Just like a
you
crown
have
cut?
like you got a V cut one way, and you go the
cut,
opposite, a V cut again, and you go between those two and a V cut again. You get
That
those
doesn't do
star
shit?
cut.
Oh, you going full blown fucking star cut.
Yeah, it's the dumbest shit. It's the dumbest shit.
doing like
It does not
fucking
improve anything. It looks
Chinese
cool.
ninja?
It looks
Ninja
cool. But people who is looking at it is like people like me looking at it like, you're dumb as fuck. You just wasted 20 minutes. You cut that cigar, so many slits. You could have just get a guillotine cut. It will give you the same amount of smoke, you dumbass.
But it doesn't feel, at least the guillotine cut, to me, that's the best cut. Because the mouth feels good, it's smooth, it's whatever. You could cut out a little bit, whatever. But yeah, because I tried the crown cut like twice, the mouth feel is just very rigid. Like, come on, when you smoke, you twist.
I've
your
never
cigar,
done
right?
it before, but I can see how it just feels fucking weird in the mouth.
Yeah, you got a freaking I don't know, one of those things that they used to dig like underground tunnels. I think that spins. You have one of those things in your mouth. This is dumb shit. And here's the thing. I use deep V cut or guillotine cut. And I realize, and one of the things is that I use the DV when I don't trust the cap. When I feel like the cap's going to fall off. The DV damage is less. But when you use the actual guillotine cut, you're at the mercy of that blade being sharp enough and that the cigar itself is not squishy enough. Just the right amount of squishiness to cut through. But when you do the V cut, you don't have that problem. So I will use a V cut on a cigar that I don't trust. But the problem with the V cut is
But how do you know you don't trust it?
But the thing is about V cut is once you cut it and it's plugged, you can't find the stamp. So I had to get another guillotine and cut it again. Because you find the freaking stamp.
I rarely use my DV. Rarely.
I start to use it less and less and less because nowadays, like, you know what? If I fuck it up, I just put some cigar glue on it and then wait a little bit and then smoke it. Because
Yeah, Martin, you're one of those slobber.
I do.
so-
I slobber my cigars.
Yeah, I know. It's
I don't want to know. Wow, jeez. Okay, so yeah, that's the cigar issues. I think a lot of people will face that issue, and I would recommend everyone to just at least voice your issue with the cigars if you have it. Like, if a cigar's plugged, just talk to the person that you bought it. Say, last time I bought a box of cigar from you, 2 of them were plugged, and I usually tell them that I don't expect anything out of it. I just want to let you know. It's a quality issue, and then you might hear from a lot of other customers that might have issue, and that you can reflect it to the vendors as, hey, a lot of your cigar from this batch plugged, no good, right? And maybe they will do a little bit more QA on it.
maybe.
You can't go through this whole process with the expectation of getting a cigar replaced, but at least if you do that, you can expect that in the future they might improve their process and have less cigar that are bad.
Do you guys remember that one time? I think it was Michael who told us the story about Luis, how he was smoking a cigar and then he literally took back all of the cigars because he's like, this batch is horrible. Like, we can't sell this. It's plugged or whatever. He took the whole thing back from the cigar owner.
Yeah. I mean, that's the right way to do it because you can ruin your company's reputation knowing that people is not going to be happy with it. For example, that Magic Toast, everybody in the Legion, well, at least 90% of people in the Legion knows that thing is like gambling. If you buy a box of 10, a box of 20, you get probably like $18 back.
Yeah.
You smoke
magical,
perfectly
isn't it?
every
It's,
time.
There was one.
It's magical. It's magical
Would you
that
say
they can sell that much.
Oh,
Right?
You know what I learned this episode though?
What?
I learned that you guys have way more patience than me. I tell you that.
That's your little man syndrome.
Yeah, probably.
What is patient? I don't know what that is, but
I don't know. You at least you have the patience to pick up.
Well, that's different.
Me,
I mean, I like to, I put models together, so I have those tools, and then I tend to work with the, those intricacies.
Yeah, that's a lot of patience.
But then, it doesn't mean I'm not pissed. And I'm pulling it out just so that I can voice
pissed
about it. I point it out just so that I can bitch about it. I cannot bitch about it.
I point it out and I throw it away.
Right? On the video, I cannot say, "Oh, it looks there's no smoke," right? And say that's no draw.
Yeah, there's no smoke. Like
yeah, but and I start doing the massage and do the flute thing, and then freaking somebody else says, "Hey, don't do that fucking shit." Okay, if I could pull something out, I would. I can't find it. Right? I've tried to massage it. And the next step is to pull a stem out, and then I try to do that and give it the best chance possible because I'm recording a review. If I can't keep smoking that cigar,
yeah, but the thing is, you're already giving it the best chance, right? You tried.
Yeah.
You tried.
And if I give it to the best chance and it doesn't go anywhere, then that's where I'm gonna say, hey, I tried, right? So
my best chance is this shit's plugged.
So I've never been at a lounge where someone. Okay, because when you have a cigar, that you're you massage it and see if it loosens up.
Yep.
If you were to mention that to somebody at a lounge and then they tell you to massage it, what would you say?
I'd be like, off.
Dude, I'm not at a fucking massage parlor. Like, what the fuck, man?
No, at that point, I would say, did you not see me massage it? Only thing I'm missing is happy ending. I'm already giving the full set of massage.
Exactly.
My mouth is already on it. I'm about to give a happy ending.
Oh shit!
How far the massage you want me to go? Do you want shatsu? You want fingertip? It's supposed to be something that
how many finger you want?
Yeah, any more than that, they had to pay me, right? The cigar will start to have to pay me because I'm working it. I'm working it. So, it's not. No, I mean, I hope that nobody have to deal with that problem, but it is a man-made material, so we are gonna deal with that problem. But I do want to recommend people voice about it without the expectation of replacing it, because if you complain enough, it will overall improve it in the future if the store actually voice your concern. I think that if they have enough people, one box you got 20 people complain, then they will actually voice it, right? It's like, you are making us not be able to sell this product because everybody who comes to the store thinking that the cigar is just going to be plugged every single time. So I think that will improve if we voice it without the expectation of replacing it. It's like, hey, I'll pay $6 to improve your cigar quality for the future. Yeah, it's an investment. You just had to do it.
Let's hope so at least.
I don't think I ever replaced a cigar with Davidoff. Not once. I pulled a stem out of Davidoff before.
Yeah, Tran,
but I never had to replace one.
Davidoff.
Yep, you already know.
I say I pulled a stem out of Davidoff before, but I never had to replace one where it's not savable.
Mm-hmm.
I think overall, it has a 98% consistency for me.
For you?
Well, you have a 60% consistency?
No. It's way higher than that. But it's every time it happened to me with a Davidoff, it surprises me. It's just what the hell?
Yeah, because Davidoff tested a lot, and for a cigar to be like that, I get surprised too. But it's very rare. But for me, Davidoff is very consistent. That's why I like to smoke it.
But the thing is, it happened to me the late hours. It happened to me back to back, which is whoa, what's the chance of that?
I never had a problem with that off late hour, so I couldn't say for late hour.
My first late hour, I smoked, it was plugged, and then I smoked one on the live where it was tunneled. It's okay, cool. I mean, I have more late hours, but I'm gonna stay away from it for a little bit. Let it age just stem out or something.
Cool. So I think that wraps up our conversation on this particular issue. And like I said, I hope everybody will voice it. If you listen to this, you feel like that it makes sense to you, I hope you voice it, because it will really help the cigar industry to tell people that their product has a problem. And if nobody ever say anything, they just think that everything's good, right? And then they will never think that there's any problem. But there's enough people that talk about it. I think they will realize that there is an issue. You cannot blame the material anymore to a certain point, because you could blame that it's man-made, you got to have a bad one. But you got to know that it is money that we pay and we're never going to get back. So, I think if we talk about it enough, that will improve the industry or improve the experience for the consumer and everything else like that, right? So aside from that, I do want to make an announcement for those people who listen to it. This September, late September 24th and on, we got a very first Casa Cueva / Shadow Smokers Legion / Little Guy Cigar Shop. We're releasing a special size for the Patrimonial cigar. And I think that, people will really enjoy it. And if you want to find out more, just make sure to head up Little Guy Cigar Shop at the end of the September, the weekend of the 22nd, and see if you can find that cigar, because I think it's going to be really, really cool for somebody to experience the Patrimonial in a different size range. It's a little plug, yeah, but I think if it's something special, should share it, because we don't have a lot of those. I think we only made 1,000 cigar or something like that.
Well, to be fair,
2,000 cigars.
The cigar should not be plugged.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
well, it's a box press.
You're plugging the cigar.
It's box
you're
press.
plugging the cigar, but it's not.
It's it.
A plugged cigar.
Right. It's box press, so chance of a box press cigar being plugged is very low, right? So, I think I recommend people to go seek it out, because I don't think there's a lot of it. And I think that would be a great opportunity to say, hey, I got this little snippet, a little hint that there's a special cigar, a special size coming out just for this one place and one place only on earth to have it. So, seek it out. So Little Guy Cigar Shop is the place to look for it. And that will be it for this particular episode. I hope you enjoy it, and we will see you next week. Bye, guys.
See you guys.
See you later. Bye-bye.
See you.
You've been listening to the In the Shadows podcast. There's nothing like a fine cigar, and that's our passion. And on the show, we'll talk about everything and anything cigars. And you know what happens when you get a bunch of guys together smoking cigars. The conversations go on. And that is what this show is all about. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. Remember, everything you need is on YouTube at Soy Sauce Assassin. The live show is every Wednesday and Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And get cigar reviews. Wishing you long ashes. We'll see you next time on In the Shadows podcast.